from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. This is the National News telecast here on ChannelEye Rupavahini. I'm Maureen Hettiarachchi. Joining me is Sharifah Tahir. Today is the 1st of December and here are today's headlines. The President pledges that a bill on gender equality and women's empowerment will be submitted to Parliament soon. Approval to increase the electricity bill. Festive season affected by the global economic crisis. A rejuvenated tourism industry. A bomb blast in Afghanistan, children among the killed. A new record in the Sri Lanka-Afghanistan ODI match.
Short, but it's well hit, down the ground. And it is once again, but he's hit it. He's hit it. It's Sri Lanka. Indonesia.
Now on to those and more stories in detail. On today's top story, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says a mechanism should be formulated to increase women's representation in all sectors of the country.
The President made these observations by joining the committee stage debate on the budget proposal for the financial year 2023 in Parliament. Accordingly, the expenditure head of the Ministry of Women, Children Affairs and Social Empowerment, which is under the President, was taken up for debate today.
President
Ranil Wickremesinghe pointed out that the representation of women in the First Council of Sri Lanka was 2%, and 91 years after universal suffrage, the representation of the women in the current parliament is only 5.3%. The President emphasized that women's representation should be increased not only in the parliament but also in other sectors, and the public sector as well as the private sector should focus their attention in this regard. He said that when considering the estate sector, the garment factories, most of the employees are females, but there is not a single woman director in them. Not only the private sector, but the government sector too has done the same. As the scenario in the corporations is the same as well. We can address it by way of law, he added. However, the President said that there were the education sector, health and administrative sector concerned female representation is higher. But he said that this development is not found and it should be improved in the private sector. The President indicated that looking at the numbers receiving education, more than 50% are female, which is not reflected at the higher level of employment. He said that young men and women must pass out and leave university by the age of 21-22. Then they can have jobs. He said that the government has taken measures to tailor the courses to suit the job market. In the future, he said that the country may experience a shortage of job opportunities in the job market, especially in the arts and social science fields. Hence, he said that he would like the National Council and the other committees of the Parliament to focus attention on this issue. This issue could only be resolved if the matter is presented to these committees, he added. President Wickremesinghe said that the only issue that remains is whether the government is going to do it alone or whether the opposition will join with the government and support its program, or whether they will get onto the streets and start protesting. He said that they have to decide which course of an action we are going to take. Developing the education sector is a step taken for the betterment of the future generations, the President emphasized.
Additional General Manager of Electricity Board Rohan Senviratne says a cabinet approval has been granted for the request made to increase the electricity tariffs. Meanwhile, public has expressed their displeasure over the tariff hike, considering their sufferings. Even though the rates were increased recently, the Additional General Manager of the Electricity Board, Rohan Senviratne, said considering the persisting losses, the cabinet approval was granted for the request made by the Electricity Board to increase the tariffs. This was disclosed at a subcommittee on identifying the short and medium-term programs related to the economic stabilizations of the National Council. Accordingly, the cabinet has approved the increase in the electricity tariffs under two steps in January and June 2023. The relevant measures were to be taken for the purpose of obtaining approval for the Public Utility Commission. In order to cover the current loss, the electricity bill should be increased by 70%, the Electricity Board representatives said. It was also disclosed that the Electricity Board currently owes nearly 650 billion rupees as a loans to various parties, including banks and electricity suppliers. Thus, it was said that it is expected to at least make part payments to the suppliers from the 50 billion rupee loan. Meanwhile, the Public Utilities Commission has indicated electricity tariffs could not be revised automatically in the months of January and June each year. The public have raised concern over the electricity tariff hike and pointed out they will be further burdened under the prevailing climate. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka National Council has claimed that both the Electricity Board and the Ministry should take responsibility for creating a power crisis and burdening the public with such acts. Global economic crisis has severely affected the festive season across the world this year.
Latest studies have indicated that consumers in many countries tend to forego many expenses related to the festive season and put limits on their spending habits due to the crisis situation in the world. Shoppers in Europe plan to spend almost 1/5 less during this year's annual discount period as inflationary pressures weigh on consumer sentiment, according to latest research. UK consumers are set to cut back by the greatest margin in the region, spending 18% less, while those in France and Germany both plan to reduce their spending by 15% and Spain by 13%. US consumers were alone in the survey of 9 nations, which also included Australia, in saying they expect to spend more this year, upping the expenditure by 6%. The findings come as the global economic outlook darkens, particularly in Europe, where Russia's invasion of Ukraine has weighed on growth and sent energy prices rocketing. The UK is already in a recession. The country's Independent Office for Budget Responsibility confirmed last week. That is piling the pressure on retailers already struggling to recover from COVID-19 slowdown and attract increasingly cost-conscious consumers. Meantime, many companies seeking to correct shortcomings and supply issues from last year have built up vast inventories of stock that they are now under pressure to shift. Minister Harin Fernando says a significant progress can be witnessed in the tourism industry of the country.
The minister made these remarks during a media briefing held at the Ministry of Mass Media today. Sri Lanka expects a large inflow of tourists during the month of December. It has also been observed that tourists are making reservations for hotels, resorts and other experiences for the first few months of the upcoming year. The Ministry of Tourism has indicated that the power interruptions in several tourism zones will be discontinued from January. During a media briefing, Minister Harin Fernandez said that the country can be revived through the progress achieved from the tourism sector.
A massive inflow of tourists has been reported at the Yala National Park yesterday. This is considered as the largest group of foreign tourists visited the park after 2.5 years. Main Shift 5 passenger cruise ship with close to 3,000 foreign tourists reached Colombo port last Tuesday. Subsequently, the ship travelled to Hambantota port and the tourists were given the opportunity to explore Yala, Bundala, Udabalava, Kataragama, Gaul and Hambantota areas. Then the group of tourists visited the Yala National Park to enjoy and experience the Sri Lankan wildlife.
Very nice trip. We enjoyed it very much. The surrounding and all the trees and the water, and saw a lot of animals. So we enjoyed it very much.
It's great. It's wonderful. It was very pleasure.
Very nice. We've seen a lot of birds, elephants. Very nice.
Colombian and also Sri Lankan people are very nice, very friendly. And today the safari was also very nice. We saw some elephants. It was also really good.
Sri Lanka is a really nice place. We had a good travel, 2 wonderful days. A little bit too hot for me here.
All Ceylon economic centres collectively says that vegetable prices may increase due to the decline in this market supply. During this upcoming festive season, the small and medium-scale farmers discontinuing farming activities have led to the existing supply. The price of 1 kilogram of local potatoes, carrots, leeks and beans at Nuwara Eliya Economic Centre was read between 350 to 450 rupees. They have also informed that the delivery of vegetable stocks to other areas of the economic centre has declined by 60%. During an inquiry, the Hector Kopbakadu Agrarian Research and Training Institute informed that each year the present months in the upcoming country are considered as off-season. Accordingly, the institute further indicated that supply declines due to the lack of vegetable production, and the production has cut down by half due to the shortages in fertilizer, pesticides and kerosene. However, the institute has said that the vegetable grown in the low country will enter the market from the second week of January. Meanwhile, the vegetable farmers in Norochiagama and Anuradhapura have requested a fertilizer relief program targeting the vegetable farmers similar to the paddy cultivation. The farmers have pointed out they have been severely affected due to the material shortage and price hikes, and allege that they are not being given a fair price for the declined harvest.
Paddy farmers allege that the usage of pesticides and weedicides available in the market has not positively impacted on the cultivation at present. The farmers have pointed out that they have been compelled to purchase substandard pesticides and weedicides in the market at higher rates. Paddy farmers in various parts of the country use pesticides and weedicides to protect their farmlands and harvests during this Maha season. The farmers have alleged that they are compelled to purchase a litre of weedicides at a rate of more than 10,000 rupees from the market. The farmers have further alleged that the threat from pests and the growth of weeds have not been addressed due to the use of the substandard pesticides and weedicides. Upon inquiring the Ministry of Agriculture, they said that the required standardized pesticides and weedicides are being sold to farmers through agrarian and agrarian services centres in each district. Also, the ministry informed that raids are being conducted to detect substandard materials through the Consumer Affairs Authority and Secretariat for Pesticides.
A three-wheeler collided with a train in Dalaval area in Nunuatagana, Egal today. A Russian national was killed in the accident. A 62-year-old three-wheel driver had also died from the accident. The incident occurred at 10:30 a.m. today. Following the collision, three-wheeler was set on fire and destroyed completely. Habarakadua police is conducting further investigations. Meanwhile, a bus had collided with a train in Ariagalay area in Jaffna this evening. The driver of the bus had died from the accident. The accident had occurred in an unsafe railway crossing. Residents of the area claim that many similar incidents also occurred in the past.
Debates on the expenditure heads of Budget 2023 are currently underway in Parliament. Expenditure heads of Ministries of Environment, Wildlife and Forest Conservation and Tourism and Lands will be taken up for debate tomorrow. The total allocation for Ministry of Environment for the upcoming year is at 2,223 million rupees. One of the main targets of the Budget 2023 is to create an environmental friendly green economy. The budget has also proposed to establish an international university for climate change, and a provision of 100 million rupees has been allocated for the project. The government aims to use green hydrogen technology for development and expects to mitigate pollution accordingly. A joint project has been proposed for this initiative. A total of 3,595 million rupees has been allocated for the Tourism and Lands Ministry. A provision of 2,776 million rupees has been allocated for land development and land acquisition. Meanwhile, 54 million rupees has been allocated for the tourism development.
Japan has extended further grant assistance for humanitarian demining activity in the north and eastern provinces. Accordingly, the Japanese government has extended approximately 232 million rupees worth financial assistance for the humanitarian activities. The grant contract was signed yesterday between the Ambassador of Japan, Mizukoshi Hideki, and the Country Director of Mines Advisory Group, Christy McLennan. This is the 14th demining project implemented by the institution through Japanese assistance. The new project is expected to clear additional land mines in Mana, Mullaitivu, Vaunia and Trincomalee districts, making mine-contaminated areas safe for internally displaced people and enhance livelihood.
Yes, we'll please exchange the contract to text. Yeah.
This new grant allows MAG to seamlessly continue clearing high-priority land back to communities for their safe and productive use. With support from Japanese funding, for example, MAG was able to complete the clearance of Mankulam Base Hospital in early 2020, and again in April this year when the Ministry of Health looked to upgrade the hospital with additional corridors and an improved drainage system. This will be the 14th grant that MAG in Sri Lanka has received from the government of Japan, and once this grant is completed, support from the Japanese government will amount to land release of just over 2 square kilometers and the removal of nearly 16,000 landmines and other unexploded ordnance by MAG alone. But we are also conscious that Japan provides funding support to all 4 mine action operators still working in Sri Lanka, and that it was the first international donor to do so. We commend this approach that recognizes the various strengths and geographical focus areas that each operator brings, all with the single ultimate objective of seeing a mine-free Sri Lanka in the years to come. We believe that our demining work is fundamental to both the increase in livelihood opportunities and the promotion of trade and investment that Japan is working tirelessly to support in some of the more underserved areas in the country, such as the northern and eastern provinces. We hope that Japan will stay the course with us and all operators through to the end and help celebrate Sri Lanka becoming mine-free.
The Russian Literary Festival, organized by the Colombo Russian Center and Russian Literary Circle, was held yesterday. The event was held at the Russian Center Auditorium. One of the features of the festival was the presenting of translations of the Russian literary novels, which were unveiled last year. Leo Tolstoy Lifetime Achievement Award, with the objective to promote Russian literature in Sri Lanka, was also presented during the ceremony. Accordingly, the honorary award was presented to authors Mahinda Senarath Gamage and late Pasan Kodikara.
A ceremony to celebrate the International Day of Solidarity between Palestine was held recently at BMICH. In 1977, UN General Assembly called for the annual observance of November 29th as the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestine people. The resolution on the partition of Palestine was adopted by the UN on November 29 in 1947. Accordingly, an event was organized at Colombo to commemorate the International Day under the patronage of Ambassador to the State of Palestine in Sri Lanka, Dr. Zuhair Hamildal Dar Saeed. UN Resident Coordinator Hannah Singer was also present at the occasion.
It's not enough just to deny. It's not enough just to condemn. It's the time to do and to practice something. United Nations had more than 750 resolutions regarding Palestine. United Security Council had 97 resolutions. A human rights organization had 95 resolutions. See all the international organizations, see the opinion that the International Court for Justice, the International Criminal Court, what they had also in front of them to investigate. It's the time to do something because bloodshed will continue. This is all the time accusing us as a Palestinian that we are refusing everything. You see our president all the time, everywhere, speaking about peace as an strategy, that we want peace, appealing all the world, all the governments, all the international community to do something, to implement one decision.
The United Nations position is clear. Peace must advance The occupation must end. We are steadfast in our commitment to realize the vision of the fair of two states, Palestine and Israel, living side and side in peace, security, with Jerusalem as the capital of both states. Together, let us reaffirm our support to the Palestinian people in their quest to achieve their inalienable rights and build a future of peace, build a future of justice, build a future of security, and build a future of dignity for all.
We'll be back with foreign news after a short break.
Come, come.
Yeah.
Supreme Chef Season 3.
Welcome back, and we move on to news overseas now. At least 17 people have been killed and 26 injured after a bomb blast hit a religious school in northern Afghanistan.
The blast took place in the city of Aibak in the Samangan province, reportedly as people were relieving prayers. The officials said the majority of those killed are believed to be children aged 9 to 15. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, and the death toll could increase. A doctor at a local hospital said most of the victims were students at a school. He added that some patients with critical injuries were transported to a larger hospital in Manazar-e-Sharif for better treatment. Interior Ministry spokesman said that Taliban security forces were investigating the attack and vowed to identify the perpetrators and punish them for their actions. The former president of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, said that the explosion was a crime against humanity in a tweet and expressed his sympathy for the families of the victims.
The jihadist group Islamic State has announced the death of its leader Abu al-Hassan al-Hashemi al-Qurayshi. An audio message from the group's spokesman said that he was killed while fighting what he called the enemies of God, but he gave no further details. The US said he was killed in an operation by the rebel Free Syrian Army in southwest Syria in mid-October. He became leader in March after his predecessor blew himself up during a raid by US forces in northwest Syria. The spokesman named his replacement as Abu al-Hussein al-Husseini al-Qurayshi, another apparent nom de guerre. As with the previous announcement, the spokesman refrained from revealing his real name, nationality or background. He described Abu al-Hussein as one of the veteran mujahideen and urged the group's supporters to pledge allegiance to him.
China has signaled a shift in its COVID stance as it moves to ease some virus restrictions despite high daily case numbers. Dozens of districts in Shanghai and Guangzhou cities have seen rising cases and were released from lockdown measures today. The country's vice premier also announced that the country was facing a new situation. It comes as China is seeing mass protests against the zero-COVID policy. The unrest was triggered by a fire in a high-rise block in the western Xinjiang region that killed at least 10 people last week. Many Chinese believe the long-running COVID restrictions in the country contributed to the deaths, although the authorities deny this. It has led days of widespread protests across the various cities, which have since ebbed amid a heavy police presence.
A landslide on a motorway in southern Brazil has killed at least 2 people and left dozens missing. Authorities said that a torrent of mud fell on the BR 376 highway in the state of Parana, hitting more than 21 vehicles. Rescue workers at the scene said bad weather and the remote location were complicating the search effort. Firefighters are using a thermal camera to locate possible survivors. Up to 30 people are thought to be still missing. Aerial footage shows one lorry precariously hanging over the side of a bridge. Rescue workers found the body of its driver, who was identified as a 62-year-old, and so far 6 survivors have been located.
Now on to sports news. In cricketing news, cause for celebration for Sri Lankan cricket fans as the bilateral series between Afghanistan and Sri Lanka capped off with an exciting last over finish as Sri Lanka clinched a 4-wicket victory with brilliant performances coming from some cricketers from both sides.
Batting first, Afghanistan scored 313 runs with the loss of 8 wickets in their innings. Ibrahim Zadran scored 162 runs, which is the highest runs scored by an Afghan player in ODI format. This was also the highest runs scored by a foreign player against Sri Lanka in the home soil, and Najibullah Zadran scored 77. Sri Lanka's Kasun Rajitha picked up 3 wickets, while Vanidu Hasaranga picked up 2.
Challenge was thrown. Asking that. What a shot. Comes again. This time. Oh, brilliant. Dasul Shana. Was enough. Just 132 balls, 15 fours and... Oh, that's short. It's pulled away. Bit of width given. And there it is. He's up his 20th one-day international half. Hammered. He's got all of it. That's huge. But he's on the ground. Charita Salanka.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.